A reading from the Gospel of Luke. Jesus also told them a parable. Can a blind person guide a blind person? Will not both fall into a pit? A disciple is not above the teacher, but everyone who is fully qualified will be like the teacher. Why do you see the speck in your neighbor's eye, but do not notice the log in your own eye? Or how can you say to your neighbor, "Friend, let me take out the speck in your eye," when you yourself do not see the log in your own eye? You hypocrite! First, take the log out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to take the speck out of your neighbor's eye. So Jesus offering us in this Gospel of Luke some pithy and condensed teachings on the role of community and our relationship to community in our journey of discipleship. He begins with this caution about when we ourselves are blind, being led by other blind guides. It reminds me of actually a period of study for me in seminary where when we were all coming through, there was a pedagogical technique that was in vogue at the time to have all of the groups read ahead, and then discuss amongst ourselves first what we thought of the reading. And of course, readings happen and don't happen sometimes in graduate school. And so what it meant is that often we would be sitting around a small group of people talking about things that we had neither read nor had any idea about. And so we would sometimes call them our shared ignorance sessions. We students would say that. And then to our great relief, the teacher would come in and help guide us along the way. And Jesus is cautioning us that in the life of faith, and he, of course, is at the beginning of the Gospel of Luke here, and so he is convening this community and keeping with his tradition, Jewish tradition, but also showing them this new way, the way of the kingdom that he is coming to usher in and helping to unfold. And he's saying, don't listen to people who aren't already more accomplished in practice. You need to listen to someone who's further along the way than you, unless you want to wind up in the ditch. So he kind of cautions us against, I think, putting too much stock uncritically in the people around us as we are working out our faith life. But then he goes on to have this little exchange about the log in my eye versus the speck in your eye. And I think I kind of find this more of a little thought puzzle, because obviously he's speaking in images that are not realistic or not, so they're exaggerated. But he says, don't worry about the speck in someone else's eye when you've got a log in your own eye. But I think the fact of the matter, and he says, and if you're blind to the log in your eye, take it out first. Well, I think that the fact is that sometimes, it's the case for me, sometimes I have a blind spot and I really do need the people around me to point out to me the log in my eye or the speck in my eye. And so I'm not taking issue with Jesus, certainly per the earlier part of this teaching. But I have to say, this feels more like a parable, and that it's not exactly clear to me what I take away from that second part, because I do feel like the blind spots we have about our own lives, sometimes it's community members, it's trusted members of our faith community who can pull us aside and ask us if we're aware of fill in the blank, or let us know how something we've said or done makes them feel. And so I think Jesus is cautioning us to be mindful and be careful, to mind kind of our own lives first, to look to those who are a little further along the way than we find ourselves, and just to be mindful and conscious about how we engage with others, and most of all, to try and perfect ourselves first before we work too hard on perfecting others. And yet, I find myself always grateful for the members of the community who are willing to take a risk and be forthright with others in community, including myself. So may God be with you this day as you ponder this little puzzle of Jesus, what it means in your life, and may God bless you this day, and God bless you and keep you this day and always. Amen.